My name is Michael, I'm 43 years old, and if you had asked me just 2 years ago what I thought my life would look like now, I would have painted you a picture of comfort, stability, a little bit of adventure on the weekends, maybe some travel when work permitted, dinners with friends, holidays with family. Nothing extraordinary, but mine. A life I felt proud of building. Instead, I'm sitting here staring at a half-empty glass of bourbon while typing this out because I don't really know what else to do with the mess that my marriage has turned into. Maybe it's catharsis, maybe it's punishment, maybe it's the only way to put words to the feeling that has hollowed out my chest ever since I found out. I've been married for 15 years. Her name is Emily. When we met, she was 26 and I was 28. I remember the first time I saw her at a friend's birthday party. One of those gatherings where you don't know half the people, but everyone's pretending to be closer than they really are. She had this laugh that carried across the room, and I swear to God, the moment she laughed, I forgot whatever joke the guy next to me was telling. I just watched her. It wasn't about her looks, though she was beautiful still is. It was the way she seemed so present, like she could make a stranger feel like an old friend with just a glance and a smile. I pursued her in the old-fashioned way. Calls, dinners, flowers on her desk at work. I wasn't rich, but I worked hard. I still do, in it consulting, which sounds fancier than it really is. I just troubleshoot people's digital messes and try to explain things without too much jargon. She worked in marketing. We weren't exactly power players, but together we made something decent. We moved into a townhouse, adopted a dog, got married a year later. We didn't rush kids. She said she wanted to wait, and I was okay with that. When she finally decided at 32 that she was ready, it didn't happen. Not for lack of trying, believe me. Doctors, tests, treatments. Each negative result chipped away at us, at her more than me. I tried to be supportive, told her it didn't matter, that I loved her, that we could build a life together with or without children. But she always carried that shadow. It's important to say that because, looking back, I wonder if that shadow gave way to the storm that followed. I found out she was cheating 6 months ago. The discovery wasn't cinematic. No lipstick on the collar, no text popping up while she was in the shower. It was quieter, crueler. I'd noticed she'd been distant. Everyone says that, but it's true. The phone never left her side, even when she went to the bathroom. She'd smile at something on the screen, and when I asked, she'd just shake her head like it wasn't worth repeating. She started dressing differently for work, staying later, claiming meetings ran over. I ignored it for too long because, honestly, I didn't want to face the possibility. The night I found out, she left her laptop open. She rarely used it at home, mostly her phone, but she had a presentation to finish. I wasn't snooping. I swear to God, I wasn't. But she got up to grab something from the kitchen and a notification pinged on the corner of the screen. A message, not an email. Some chat app I didn't recognize. And it just said, "Last night was amazing. I can still taste you." My brain went white, like static. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. By the time she came back, I had already clicked it open. There it was. Weeks of messages, explicit, tender, mocking. Things she hadn't said to me in years. I remember looking at her, my face burning, my mouth dry, and saying her name like it wasn't really hers anymore. The rest is a blur. She tried to explain, then stopped. She didn't deny it. That, weirdly, made it worse. She admitted it was someone from her office, a guy in sales who traveled a lot. She said it wasn't serious, like that mattered, like the fact that she let another man into her body, into her time, into the private little space that used to belong to us, was somehow excused by calling it casual. I won't lie, I broke. I yelled. I cried. I slammed my hand against the wall so hard I thought it fractured something. I've always been level-headed, the calm one, the fixer. That night I was none of those things. That night I was just a man whose world had been bulldozed without warning. She cried too, said she was lonely, that I worked too much, that we had grown apart, that she felt invisible in our own home. I wanted to argue, to point out all the ways I tried date nights, trips, little gestures. But the words stuck in my throat because maybe some of it was true. Maybe I had taken her for granted. Maybe I had let routine swallow us whole. But does that justify betrayal? No. No, it doesn't. The days after that discovery felt like a haze, like living inside a badly tuned radio, fragments of voices, bursts of static, silence too loud to bear. I'd wake up and for half a second forget what had happened, and then it would hit me again like a hammer to the ribs. Every corner of our home became contaminated with the thought of them. The couch where we used to binge shows, the kitchen counter where she'd sit on mornings sipping her coffee. Even our bed, especially our bed, was suddenly a crime scene in my head. I couldn't look at her without replaying the messages. The way she had written to him things she hadn't said to me in years. Little dirty phrases, playful banter, private jokes. That was maybe the most brutal part. Sex I could compartmentalize, in some distant way. Lust is animal, it can be impulsive, reckless. But laughter, shared intimacy, that's betrayal of the soul. I told her to leave. That first night, I couldn't bear to breathe the same air as her. She cried, begged, said she had nowhere to go. I didn't care. She packed a bag and went to her sister's. The silence after she closed the door nearly gutted me. You think you want silence until you're handed the kind that suffocates you. For a while, I functioned on autopilot. Work, eat, drink, sleep if you can call 3 hours of tossing and turning sleep. My colleagues probably noticed something was wrong, but no one said anything. People don't want to open that door. They don't want to risk hearing something ugly they can't unhear. Emily texted me every day at first. Long messages, then shorter ones when I didn't respond. Apologies, explanations, please. She said she ended it with him, that it was over the moment I found out. She said she wanted to fix us. That word fix made me laugh out loud the first time she used it. Like our marriage was a leaky faucet and not a collapsed bridge swallowed by the ocean. I didn't answer for weeks. Then one night, drunk, I did. I typed, why? Just that, and she responded in seconds, like she'd been waiting with the phone in her hand. Her answer was pathetic in its simplicity. I don't know. Bullshit. People always know why, even if they don't want to admit it. When we finally sat down face to face, it was at a diner we used to go to in our 20s, before the house, before the dog, before the years sanded down the sharp edges of our love into something quieter. She looked older, or maybe just tired. Her hair pulled back, no makeup, like she didn't want to perform anymore. She told me she still loved me, that she hated herself for what she did, that she wanted counseling, therapy, anything if it'd give her a chance. And here's where I confess something that makes me hate myself. A part of me wanted to say yes. Wanted to cling to the life we built, the history, the comfort of familiarity. Divorce felt like detonating a bomb in the middle of everything I thought I knew. The idea of starting over in my 40s, of splitting assets, selling the house, explaining to friends and family, it all felt unbearable. But another part of me, the part that had been gutted that night by her laptop screen, couldn't forgive. Not yet. Maybe not ever. So I did what cowards do. I postponed. I said I needed time. And that's where we've been ever since. Limbo. She moved back in after a month. Not because I was ready, but because I was exhausted from fighting myself about it. We live together, but it's like cohabiting with a stranger. Some nights she tries to reach for me in bed, and I let her hand rest on my arm because it's easier than pulling away. Other nights I turn to the wall and pretend to sleep. I don't know what's worse, the betrayal itself or the way it turned me into this version of myself I don't recognize. I started going to the gym more, not out of health, but anger. I run until my lungs burn, lift until my arms shake, because physical pain feels cleaner than the mental kind. I've lost weight. People compliment me, ask if I'm training for something. I just smile. How do you tell someone you're just trying to outrun ghosts? There are moments when I catch her looking at me with this expression I can't decipher. Hope, guilt, desperation. And there are moments when I catch myself staring at her and remembering the girl from the birthday party all those years ago, and for a fleeting second, I ache for what we were before everything went to hell. But the ache doesn't last. Reality always creeps back in. It's been 6 months since that night in the diner, and I wish I could tell you I've found clarity, that I've chosen a path and walked it with conviction. The truth is murkier. Life doesn't hand you neat endings tied up with bows. It hands you compromises, half decisions, and long stretches of silence where you're left to choke on your own thoughts. We tried counseling. I sat across from her in that beige office, listening to a stranger with a clipboard tell us how to rebuild trust. Emily cried through most of the sessions. I sat stiff, arms crossed, trying not to explode at the absurdity of the exercises. Write down 3 things you appreciate about each other. Hold hands while you talk. Set aside 20 minutes of eye contact. I did it all, but the whole time a voice in the back of my head screamed, she gave herself to someone else, and you're sitting here playing kindergarten games about gratitude. I lasted for sessions before I told the therapist I couldn't do it anymore. Emily begged me to keep going, but I walked out and didn't look back. At home, things didn't get better. We functioned like roommates who share a history. Bills get paid, meals get cooked, the dog gets walked. But the intimacy, the real marrow of marriage is gone. I can't touch her without feeling like a fool, and I can't listen to her without hearing echoes of words she once gave to him. If started sleeping in the guest room more often. She doesn't fight me on it anymore. Here's the confession. I think about leaving every single day. I picture myself in a smaller place, maybe a crappy apartment at first, with nothing but my clothes and a few boxes. I imagine the quiet being my own again, not this suffocating silence we share. I imagine not having to wonder where she is, who she's texting, what shadows are still hiding. But then the other side of me, the coward, reminds me of what leaving means. The financial wreckage, the pitying looks from friends, the questions from my parents, who adore her, the dismantling of 15 years of a life built together. And I freeze. Some nights, when I can't sleep, I scroll through Reddit or forums like this one, reading stories just like mine. Men and women gutted by betrayal, torn between staying and going. Some left and rebuilt. Some stayed and regretted it. Some stayed and found something resembling peace. It doesn't matter how many stories I read, I can't see myself in any of them. I don't know if he'll ever be able to forgive her. I don't know if forgiveness even matters anymore. What I do know is that I'm not the man I was before all this, and maybe that's the cruelest part. Infidelity doesn't just take away your trust in your partner, it takes away your trust in yourself. In your judgment, your worth, your ability to see the truth of your own life. So here I am, 43 years old, sitting in the dark, typing this to strangers on the internet because I can't say it out loud to anyone else. My wife is asleep upstairs. Our dog is curled up at my feet, and I am stuck in the purgatory between love and hate, memory and reality, fear and freedom. Maybe tomorrow I'll file the papers. Maybe tomorrow I'll keep pretending. But tonight, all I have is this story and the bitter knowledge that the woman I built my world around was never mine the way I thought she was. And maybe she never will be again.